What's up, Hyperfast Agent Nation? On this episode of the show, I've got an amazing guest. He has led his team to double-digit percentage growth during the lockdowns, the pandemic, all of that stuff that's going on. So we're going to talk about mindset, what he's doing to win listings at a higher percentage, and how he's going to do over 200 transactions this year. Welcome to the show, Michael Gillies. Welcome to the show, Michael. How are you doing today?
What's up, man? I'm doing good. I'm going to the beach tomorrow, so I'm doing real good.
Always good to get out in the sunlight, get that vitamin D. It's really important, but not talked about a lot for our immune systems. Yeah. That's not the topic. We're here today to talk about your real estate business and get into what you do to really crush it on the listing presentations, because those leads are gold. You don't want to lose any of them. But before we dive into that, I want you to tell the folks out there listening, watching, who you are, a little bit of your background, and how you got into real estate and what you're doing today.
Sure. I run a team in Stafford, Virginia, just a little south of you guys. Kind of an accidental agent. I went to UVA, and I graduated. I went to work for a wholesale mortgage company, and things were great, like really great for 2 or 3 years until just everything totally crashed. And I bounced to a couple other companies, and that was just a mess. And my parents had a growing real estate business, and so I came to work with them for what was supposed to be, a temporary thing until I figured something else out or went back into the mortgage business. And I think that was 12 or 13 years ago. And since then, we've gone from the three of us, which is cool. We like the fact that we get to work with family. But then now we've got all sorts of other folks, listing agents and buyer agents and staff and everything. So it's grown a lot since then. But yeah, the path in was a little bit crazy. I got my license in 2008, and everyone in my office said I was crazy. I had no idea why I was doing it, but it worked out all right.
So temporary, it's 12 years now. Are you still looking for another job or position?
Unless somebody's gonna pay me to go down to the Keys and fish, no, I'm in it. I think my favorite part now is actually seeing things grow. Taking new agents on and taking them from nothing to 30, 35 sides a year. So that's what I'm into now. So no, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, it's amazing how many people accidentally get into this business, and then like you look back and it's been like a decade or more, and just like, wow, I can't imagine doing anything else. But they got there by accident. Real estate's interesting, like that for sure. What kind of size is your team now? What kind of volume are you guys doing? And with the coronavirus, the pandemic, and all of that, where do you think you'll end up in 2020 compared to 2019?
So let's see if I can get this right. My folks that I mentioned, my mom is sort of our managing broker over our office still. My dad was an appraiser, and so he does a lot of the pricing, behind the scenes sort of stuff. We've got one other listing agent. I do quite a few of the listings for our team. We've got one other listing agent. And then I think right now we're at 6 buyer agents, and we're trying to bump that up by the end of the year to help us hit our hit our production goals. Last year, I think we ended at 179 sides, and this year we're trying to hit 200. We're gonna be close on that. We're dealing with some of the same inventory stuff that everybody else is, but we've pushed through pretty well, and we're making a big push for the end of the year. So 200, I think, is the number.
So that's like a double-digit percentage increase in the middle of, a pandemic where you got showing restrictions, sellers not wanting to put their homes on the market in some cases, and despite all of that, you guys are up. How is that possible? Like, for people out there may wonder, like, how are you up when the sky is falling?
I don't know. I mean, we just try not to use it as an excuse, So I mentioned in 2008 when the sky was falling, we sort of, turned into the skid and increased our advertising and took a ton of market share back then when everybody else was, how many agents got out of the business in a couple of years after that? And so we just try to look at that the same way. There's always an opportunity, even if things are kind of ugly. We had some agents on our team with some pre-existing health concerns. And so we had some of our folks that were out of the game for a little while, but, we've hired, over the last 6 months, and we've got those folks that are jumping in and they're productive, they're closing deals. And we just increased our advertising by quite a bit, almost doubled it. And so, it's just that idea of there's opportunity in anything. And, if the market's great, that's great, take advantage of it. But, if there's something ugly, like what we've been dealing with, there's still opportunity there. We may not be at the number that I thought we'd be at in January, but at the same time, I think we can still grow, we can still push. It's all about mindset. If you're convinced that the market's just going to take you over and, and woe is me, there's nothing I can do about it, everybody's in the same boat, that's where you're going to end up. But if you analyze your numbers and, try to figure out where the opportunity is, it's there somewhere.
Yeah, I agree completely. We've seen a dramatic increase in our business and other businesses, of agents like you that we coach. So I've seen other people do it, and I do think mindset is like the biggest factor, right? That's you got to know your numbers, you got to look for the opportunities, but really the biggest thing is just have the mindset that you're gonna find the opportunity, find how to get it done, find the way. So let's talk about that for a second. Like, what specifically do you think it is about mindset, and what was it like for you kind of going through March, April, and deciding to buckle down and hire more and increase your marketing? Like, what was that process like? Was it just already there and you knew you were going to do that, or did you kind of have to, pause for a second, go, oh shit, and then kind of figure it out, or what, how did that work for you?
No, so your mindset is it's a choice you're going to make every single day, right? And you're going to have some bad days mixed in there. And when a lot of this started to hit, there was a ton of questions that we couldn't answer. And, so to be honest, I think we might've made a little bit of a mistake. We took some of our advertising, we backed off on it because, it was longer term stuff and we didn't know what was going to happen. And then, as we got into the next couple of months, we looked at where we were and we said, well, we're still tracking really well, and all things considered, we should be making a push. And we looked back at our past experience and said, we've done this before. There's no reason why we can't push through this. And a lot of it was messaging, the mindset that you as an agent has, that's going to rub off on your clients. So if your mindset is, man, this is really bad, there's no opportunity to to sell homes. Buyers are scared. I just don't know what's going to happen. Then your sellers are going to take that cue directly from you. Whereas the other way to go is to say, hey, look, we've bought every bottle of hand sanitizer that we can find. We've got booties for people's shoes. We're providing gloves and masks, and we're doing everything that we can. And then looking at the numbers, hey, Mr. Seller, inventory's down. I think it was like 26% in April, something like that. There's a huge opportunity here for you that wasn't there a couple of months ago. Let's take advantage of it. And, if you've got a team too, there's a lot that goes into that, because your team is going to take their cues from you. If you say, hey guys, we're going to back off on things, we're going to chill out, we're just going to see how this happens, that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to say, okay, I don't need to be as diligent on my calls. I'm not going to follow up with some of those people. I'm not going to push as hard. Whereas if you say, hey, did you have goals at the beginning of this year? Yeah. All right. Are you going to hit them? Yes or no? Why not? Or where are you? And I think as a team leader, if you can help them get through that, help them have that right mindset instead of sort of pushing this uncertain, scared type of mindset, it goes a long way. And that's not to say that if there's a legitimate concern, like I said, we had some health concerns on our team, and those people did take a step back, right? But as a whole, our team pushed forward through this, and we should be on track to beat last year.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of great points in there. Like the people around you are gonna like take cues from you, especially ones that are looking to you for guidance and help. So if you've got a prospect, buyer, seller, and you come out of a place of fear, and like, I don't see how you'll be able to buy or sell a home right now, that's gonna be exactly what they think, or they'll leave and find someone that doesn't have that attitude, right? And I think your team members too are gonna take that cue. If you like a lot of brokerage and teams were like shutting down, not doing showings or this or that, and like if you tell your company, your employees, your agents, like, we can't sell a home right now, we can't list a home right now, like they're going to come from that place of fear, or they're going to leave you. So same kind of deal.
That's the scarier part, right? I mean, nobody wants to be around an environment that's full of negativity all the time, right? And I think part of that too is sometimes we need someone to get us out of our own head, right? If we're trying to lead a group of other people, right? I've got you and Keri, I've got some other people that are able to pour a little bit of positive into me on some of those days where I'm like, shit, maybe the world really is falling, or the sky is falling. And, you need that person, just like your team needs you to be that person. You need somebody to sort of say, hey, let's look at this realistically, right? Let's talk about this. It's not falling. Here's a different way to look at it. And so I think, being a team leader, in some ways you can kind of be on an island if you're not careful, and having that outside source, to sort of, whether it's push you or, change your mindset or pour into you a little bit is big for me too.
Yeah. I think it's even more important when you're a broker, team leader, owner to have the right mindset, because it's, when you're an individual agent, it's you and your clients really that your mindset affects, which, that should be enough to like make you really want to work on having the right mindset, right? Just the fact that you could be harming buyers and sellers, but it's magnified even more, when you're like in your position, because now your mindset's affecting your clients, the agents, that are on your team and their clients as well. And so there's just that much more responsibility and importance on this.
Yeah. And that's something that we laid out for our team, when a lot of this hit was, hey guys, my job is to make sure that you guys are secure. Right. And so, these are the steps that we're taking. We're going to make sure that you're taken care of. We're going to keep the opportunities there for our staff. It was the same thing, guys, business as usual. We're good. We've got you covered. And I think that can take a weight off their shoulders, because it's our responsibility, right? We need them to work hard and to do their job and do all those things. But, I look at them as, as part of our work family, and, it's my responsibility to make sure that stuff still works.
No, I agree completely. Mindset, making sure you're putting your team members in the position to succeed is just so important. And, my hat's off to people like you that are leading your team in the right direction, despite all of the uncertainty that's in the market. And it's always going to be like that. Like, there's just uncertainty, and you gotta deal with it. I think turn off the news and the negativity, and focus on, your people and the clients that you serve, and how can you solve their problems. The answer is out there. The solution's out there. You just got to find it, right? Like, you can switch to virtual showings, open houses, come up with ways to, follow the guidelines and still show homes. So there's ways to get it done. You just have to have the right conversations, look for the right solutions, and have the attitude that you'll do it. It sounds like now. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say one of the best pieces of advice I got from a coach a few years back was just about kind of immersing yourself in the news. It's all bad. I mean, it's bad now, right, with the virus and everything, but it's always bad. And he asked me, he's like, well, do you like watching the news? I'm like, yeah, I like to know what's going on. And he's like, well, how does it make you feel? I don't know, anxious, angry, it's nothing good. And so I pretty much cut it out, right? I'll get word about what's going on from someone at the gym, or, from someone somewhere. If it's important enough, I'm going to hear something about it, and then I can go look for the info if I need to. But that's a huge part of what got a ton of negativity out of my head. Focus on what's going to make a difference for our clients or our team members or whatever, and throw all the rest of that stuff somewhere else.
It is interesting, like, how much emotional energy people spend on things that they have absolutely no control over.
No control.
And then don't spend any time on the things that they can influence. So that's the news in a nutshell, basically. Like, nothing on there you can do anything about.
Nope. No. And it's, and I don't know, I feel so much calmer, so much less anxious when I'm not just, when I'm not diving into all that stuff.
So it sounds like, you guys pushed through, had, maybe looked up a month or two into the lockdowns and the corona and all that, and you're like, damn, things are still chugging along at kind of the right level. Or was there a moment where you kind of were surprised at how your team was doing, how your numbers were looking?
I think what did it was, we looked at where we were, next to where we were at the same time last year. And, what were our days on market? What was that doing? Our leads coming in, what did that look like? And for the most part, everything looked good. We could always use more listings. That's going to be the case in almost any market. But we do a lot of tracking. We track pretty much everything, and we've got, some really beautiful spreadsheets that I don't make, but I like to spend some time in. And when you have good tracking, you can look at that stuff, and you can do a year-over-year comparison, and you can really get a good idea on what those numbers look like. And if you've got access to info like that, it tells you a lot. And we looked at it and we said, the only thing holding us back right now is us, you know. So we put money back into marketing, you know, again, a little bit that we pulled out, and then we punched a whole lot more into it, right? So that's going to pay dividends, you know, the last quarter of this year, maybe a little bit the last 4 months of this year, but then it's going to position us for a whole lot bigger goal next year. And that's where the hiring comes from. And that's why we're trying to add in there. So I can't remember the moment, but I know that, you know, I followed that, and I kind of asked myself, well, what are we doing? You know, we're right on track with last year. We pulled back on some things that we shouldn't have, and we had multiple people that were out. You know, if that's the case, we just need, you know, we need the people to handle the leads, and then let's add more of that marketing in, and, you know, there's no reason why we can't grow.
Well, that you know, that also goes to show the value of checking in, of knowing your numbers, and like where you're going to go and how you're going to get there is going to constantly be changing. So you gotta develop the capability as, you know, first as a solo agent, then as an organization or team. Like, how do I analyze where I am and readjust to get to where I want to go? And the people that are, you know, the top athletes, top performers, like, they're checking in more often. So, yeah, they're going to get.
And a lot of it is, it could just be little incremental improvements. You know, it doesn't have to be this massive shift in something. You can see something in numbers that will tell you something that, you know, that doesn't seem like it's earth shattering. But, you know, if you improve a number of different metrics, just a few percent, the end result can really surprise you.
Yeah, I think Pat Riley actually talked about this in some of the championship teams that he built with the Lakers and Miami, and it was just this idea of, if we can get 1% better in this category, you know, at rebounding, 1% better at shooting, and you know, the difference between making the playoffs and winning the championship is, it's just, you know, these little 1% to 2% changes in, like, you know, 5 or 6 or 7 categories, and putting them all together, it all adds up. And, you know, it starts with knowing your numbers and how to analyze where you are.
I'm trying to think of, there's a book called Atomic Habits. I think the guy's name is, I'm going to get it wrong. I think it's James Clear. That might be wrong. But the book is Atomic Habits, and it's that same idea. And he gives these examples, and one is like the British cycling team, where, you know, they made these little tiny incremental improvements, and they went from sort of the laughing stock of the world. I don't follow cycling, but, you know, the laughing stock of the world to winning, you know, some huge, I don't know if it was the Tour de France, or I don't know what it was, but something like that on, you know, on a world level. Cool book.
Yeah, well, check that out if you're listening. And let's switch gears for a second. Talk about listings, converting on listings. You still do a lot of listing presentations. I'm sure when you go in, you're coming in from the position of, like, okay, I'm the team that's doing almost 200 deals a year. We've got A, B, and C, right? We got all these, you know, systems and great clients and things we're going to do for you. So 2 questions. If you're the newer agent starting out, how do I beat a guy like you in a listing presentation? And then my follow on to that is, if you're the big agent, how do you not get beat by the little guy in that scenario?
Okay. So I think if you're the first agent, where, you know, you don't have, you know, the 200 transaction number that you can throw out, or you don't have the, you know, $30,000 a month in advertising, or whatever that number is, right? There's always going to be somebody bigger. I think you've still got to take your cues from those bigger agents. I think too many agents go in and meet with a seller, and they rely so much on, you know, their charm or their vision for the process or something like that. And I think the issue with that is that if you run into a seller that's a high D, they don't care. All they want to know is results, right? And you've got to up your game a little bit. And one, know your numbers. You know, you may not sell as much as somebody else, but you know, maybe your sold price to list price ratio is killer. Maybe your days on market are better than anybody. You know, maybe you have some small niche in something that you do really, really well that nobody else is going to talk about. Find a way to highlight that. When you go into a listing, I think what you have to realize is that in a lot of cases, if an agent's or if a seller's meeting with 3 or 4 agents, which more and more sellers are these days, in a lot of cases, they're going to get the same presentation 4 times, right? Unless somebody like one of your listing agents goes in there, right? It's going to be something different. You've got to focus on what you do differently. Give them a reason to choose you, especially if you're up against somebody that has that team. And so whether it's, you know, I'm trying to think of a good example. Maybe it's your follow-up plan, right? That's something that we go through with sellers. You know, hey, did you know MIT did a study that said that if you're able to contact a buyer that inquires on an online listing within 5 minutes, you've got a better than 90% chance of reaching them. Did you know that the National Association of Realtors says that almost 80% of online inquiries go completely unanswered, never get a phone call? That's not how I do business, right? Something as simple as that, and that MIT study is out there. You guys watching can go find it. There's some ways that you can really separate yourself, and then just because you're not a team doesn't mean that you don't have a team, right? You've got a title company, you've got a lender, you've got contractors, you've got, you know, maybe it's just a virtual assistant that helps you with things, whatever it is. You know, you have a team, you have a support team that you can call on, and you can let the seller know how you leverage that to give them a better experience.
Yeah, I agree with all of those points. You know, I think as the newer agent, if you're going up against more experienced ones, you know, you can sell yourself, I think, and access to you a little bit more typically than someone like you, right? Like if I was competing against you in a listing, you know, I would say like, look, I'm going to be able to respond to all your calls. You know, I'm not a team leader that has like all these other people that you're going to have to deal with. So you're going to get me, right? Like, I think that's a popular way to do it. And another one I've seen work and that I used when I was starting out is like, you know, look, this, you know, other seller that's more experienced, or this other agent who's, you know, more experienced and been doing it for years, like they've sold 100 homes in this area. If they mess yours up, it's just going to be a statistical blip, and they're still going to be able to go out and get another deal. But if I mess up, you know, one of my first ones, like I'm done. I'll never get, you know, another listing in here. So I've got a lot more at stake. Right? I've seen that work. I used to use it. It works well, except if you're going up against our team. So.
So
anything else kind of to add to like what this, you know, what the newer agent should be doing to beat out an experienced agent in a listing presentation?
So I think that, and this will kind of tie into what I would say to the experienced agent, right? That might get, every now and then an agent knows, I got this, right? You know, this is my area. I know who I'm up against. I've totally got it. And then they lose it. And why did they lose it? I think a lot of it is because that newer agent has, you know, they're not jaded yet. You know, they have more of a passion. They really, really, really want that listing. And I've won listings before just by telling the person that I wanted it. hey, look, you told me you had a bad experience with your last home sale. I want to show you that our entire industry is not like that, right? It can be completely different. I really want to give you that experience. Give me a chance to do it, right? And you can say that no matter who you are. You can never have sold a home before, and tell a seller that, and then, over communicate with them, touch them, multiple times a week, do whatever you have to do to deliver on that promise. But just telling them how excited you are to have it, I think is huge. And I think, can I go into the experienced agent?
Yeah.
So
let's talk about that. What should the big agent do so they don't lose out to the new eager guy on the block?
So I realized this a little while back, and this was kind of an exciting thing to figure out. I've given our presentation, I have no idea how many times, right? I know the numbers, I know the presentation, I even know how to read. I can read the client, try to figure out which part of the presentation they really care about. But there was one thing that I was missing, and that was, before I went into all of that, sitting down with them and getting a good understanding for what they're actually trying to do. And I missed that for a long time. And it's something as simple as showing up, saying, hey, let's talk for a little bit. I want to get a good idea on what you're trying to accomplish here. Where are you trying to go? Why do you want to get there? What's in Florida, what's in Iowa, or wherever they're going, or maybe they're moving local. If you can figure out what the why is behind their move, and even if it's just a simple thing, we want a bigger house, you can still figure out what that is. And as the bigger agent, it humanizes you. You're not just showing up to say, I'm the best, here's why, sign the listing paperwork, right? You can go into, you don't have to, sellers aren't necessarily looking for a best friend. And I think too many agents try to build the rapport around something that has nothing to do with the house sale. What they want to know is that you actually care about why they're moving and what the goals are, where they've got to go. And since I've sort of switched things around and start with that, everything else through the process is so much easier. And, I think at that point, if a smaller agent, or a smaller team or whatever the case is, somebody tried to say, well, hey, to them, you're just a number. If they've been through that discussion with me, they understand that they're not just a number. And I think the critical thing is that as agents, we do care, right? But clients don't know that unless you tell them. And it's really easy to just get caught into your cycle of, yep, this is my presentation, I'm awesome, here's my numbers, here's why, and not show them that other side. I mean, it's just good old fashioned, give a shit, but letting them know that you do, right? Otherwise they're gonna believe that idea that, well, I'm just a number to them, and it's I'm not a person, I'm not a goal that we're trying to hit, I'm just one more in their machine.
Yeah, I think it's important to establish that expertise, that you really make the seller know that you are an expert, but you have to be a friendly expert, right? An expert that cares. But if you don't establish that expertise, and you kind of let them take over the meeting, the conversation, and you don't authoritatively really connect with them and position yourself as that expert, it's kind of hard to recover. And I think a lot of listing agents go in there and just hit on rapport, and then they're never really in a position to be that expert. So you kind of, I think that the big agent really needs to establish themselves as both, because as a bigger agent, your competitor is not, it's not like other big agents typically. Your competitor,
not usually,
their past realtor that does a few deals a year, their friend's cousin, their family member that does a few deals a year. So you have to show them that while you're the expert, this is why you care about them, and this is why you develop the systems that you do.
Right.
If you come in and just try to compete on being a friend, it's not going to work for a lot of sellers, because they've got other agents that they're friends with in some shape or form.
Yeah, they want to know that you're a real person, that you're not just there to get paperwork signed and put them through a system. But I mean, it's just like with any client, if they've got the reins and they're able to run with it, then it's a mess, right? You're the expert. You've got to have control over the process. And so I completely agree. If you can establish that up front and say, all right, tell me about your goals, right? We're not necessarily talking about, oh, my kid plays soccer too. I mean, that's fine, but you don't need to spend a half hour on that. Figure out what they're really trying to accomplish. And then, as you go through the rest of your consultation, your presentation, your paperwork, your book, whatever you got, focus that presentation on how it's going to get them to where that goal was. Because again, I think in most cases, they're going to hear the same presentation over and over. And if your presentation is focused on, getting them where they need to go, or selling fast, or, getting the highest proceeds, or whatever that number is going to be, then, it shows them that you were listening and that you've got a plan specific to them. And I think that's going to be more important, than the friend from church angle.
Yeah, I agree. I think these are all great points that any agent out there can use to go get more business by winning a higher percentage of the listing leads and prospects that you have. So encourage all of you guys to listening to really take what Michael has been saying to heart. This has been great advice. We're almost out of time, unfortunately. Before we end, though, I always like doing the Hyperfast round with our guest, if you are ready.
All right.
All right. What's the biggest piece of advice you'd give to a real estate agent starting out right now?
Starting out right now, tune out most things that people in your office have to tell you. Take in good things, and what you consume is what you're going to put back out there in the world. And so take in good information, take in whether it's books or whatever, or find somebody that legitimately knows what they're talking about. Even new agents, find a coaching program, where you can get information that is legit and isn't coming from the person that has been in the business 30 years, but isn't maybe the person that you should be taking your beginning of career advice from.
Yeah, I think that's a great piece of advice. What is the biggest challenge you've had in the business, and how'd you overcome it?
So for me personally, or for our team?
For you personally.
Yeah. Me personally. I think a lot of it is trying to create a balance. So I've got 2 kids, 8 and 9, and I remember counting at one point years ago I think it was like 160 days in a row that I worked, and it was miserable, awful. And there has to be, there has to be some time set aside for family. If you have nothing left in the tank for them, that's a constant struggle, right? It's not something I've figured out necessarily, but if you have nothing left in the tank for them, it's going to make everything else miserable. And so, set some boundaries if you can. I started telling clients that when my kids were really little, hey, I've got bath time starting at 7. So if you need something, shoot me a text. I'll get back to you once I get the kids to bed. Something like that. Any boundaries you can create to give yourself some of that time with family, I think is a big deal. I'm still working on that one.
I think we all are, but I think that's a great piece of advice. A lot of people, unfortunately, don't do, and I think they do it out of fear. But I think in most cases, your clients are gonna respect that. Like, I don't think they want you to give them advice on negotiating a listing, an offer that came in when you're in the middle of bath time. So,
right. Yeah.
So that's a great one. What do you think is the biggest mistake your typical, experienced agent makes that you've seen over the years? And what do they do to correct that?
So this may not be exactly what you're looking for, but this is kind of a soapbox thing for me. Read the contract. I can't tell you how many agents are giving their clients really bad advice because they have no idea what the contract actually says. And it's not that hard to figure out. Nobody really, you don't learn it when you take the Mosley class or whatever real estate school you go to, but you can read it. If you can pass the test, you can read the contract. You can go to your broker, I guess, if you have a question. But it's a pet peeve of mine, and it's something that, agents on our team, we make sure that they can present the contract. They know what it is. Just because if you go through the contract and all you know how to do is plug in 333 on the home inspection addendum because that's what somebody told you at one point, at some point it's going to come back to bite you, we're supposed to be advising our clients on how to navigate these things. And if we don't know what the hell it says, I have no idea how you can feel comfortable doing that. We talked about earlier, you have to be the expert. It's got to at least start there.
Yeah, that's a great point. Most contract questions that brokers get can be answered by reading the contract.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's a silly thing, but
no, that's a great one. Good point. So agents out there listening, read the contract. It'll serve you well, and it's almost dangerous actually to answer a contract question without looking at the contract because you don't. It's not like you memorize it word for word. Most people anyway. So
when it changes twice a year at least. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, 2 more questions here.
Okay.
If you're not selling real estate, what are you normally doing? Where would we find you?
If it's warm out, I try to be on the boat. I just sold my boat, so hopefully I'll have a replacement. And if it's cold out, my son and I are usually skiing.
Awesome. Last one. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Still doing real estate. I'd like to create a lot more opportunity for the people that work for us now and for some of these new folks that we'll be hiring. And so I'd like to be out of production, giving that opportunity to them. But I think that's kind of the fun part of where I think we're going is spending more time, instead of putting it into clients, putting it into agents so that they can then go out and do the same thing, give clients that different experience. So
Awesome. Well, thank you for being on this episode. Before we wrap up, can you remind all our listeners out there what areas you serve, and let us know as well how they should connect with you, or how they can connect with you if they want to.
For sure. So we're based in Stafford, Virginia. We're a little south of DC. And so Stafford, Prince William, Fredericksburg, Spotsylvania counties, that's kind of our core home base. And so we're right south of Quantico. A ton of our business comes from military folks coming in and out of Quantico, and Pentagon folks that don't want to be maybe quite as far north as you guys are. And so you can find us at GilliesTeam.com. And it's probably the best place to go. Facebook, Facebook.com/Gillies Team. So yeah, we're just south of you guys, but we don't overlap a whole lot.
All right. Well, thank you for being on this episode. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in and watching, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, man.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Hyperfast Show. Subscribe to us if you want to make sure you get the latest and greatest Hyperfast shows. And remember, we love reviews. Reviews help us bring better and better guests and improve our shows. So give us the good, the bad, and the ugly. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we will see you next time.
Hey guys, thanks for sticking around to the end. I hope you enjoyed that video, and if you want to see more, click right here. And if you're new to this channel, click below to subscribe and turn on post notifications so you don't miss out. And leave some comments about what you think on the videos. I'll see you next time.